There is a person you will never remember being. They had your eyes, your hands smaller than, your name. They learned to walk in a room you couldn't describe if your life depended on it. They tasted food for the very first time and had no words for any of it. They looked up at a face that meant everything: safety, warmth, the whole world in one person. And they loved that face more completely than you have ever loved anything since. That person was you. The first 3 years of your life, maybe more. You were there for all of it, and you remember none of it. Not the first steps, not the first words, not the thousands of hours someone spent holding you. The most important years you will ever live, erased almost completely. Why? Here is the strangest part. It isn't that nothing happened in those years. Those years were the most important of your entire life. In your first few years, your brain was building itself at a speed it will never reach again. In early childhood, the brain forms new connections at a staggering rate, more than 1 million new neural connections every second. 1 million, every second. You were learning faces, language, how to move, what is safe and what is not, who loves you, how the world works. You were doing the heaviest learning a human ever does. So why is the record gone? For a long time, people had a simple guess. Maybe babies just don't form memories yet. Maybe the lights aren't fully on. But that turned out to be wrong. Babies form memories constantly. A 1-year-old clearly remembers people, places, routines. The memories are there. The problem isn't making them. The problem is keeping them. To understand why, you need to meet one small part of your brain. Deep inside, there is a structure called the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's librarian. Its job is to take a passing moment and file it away as a long-term memory, something you can walk back and find years later. In a newborn, that librarian has barely started working. The hippocampus is one of the last parts of the brain to mature. In your first years, it is still under construction, still hiring itself, still building its shelves. So the moments of your babyhood were happening and being felt, but almost nothing was being properly filed. The experiences came in. The library just wasn't ready to store them. But there is a second reason, and it's stranger than the first. Your infant brain was doing something that sounds almost violent. It was pruning itself. Here's what that means. A baby's brain makes far more connections than it will ever need, a wild, tangled overgrowth of them. And to work well, the brain has to cut most of them away. It keeps the useful ones and deletes the rest. Scientists call this synaptic pruning. It's not damage, it's sculpting. The way a gardener cuts back a bush so it can grow strong. But when you rebuild the very structure that holds memories, the old memories have nowhere left to hang. The shelves they were sitting on got torn out and rebuilt. And there is one last piece. Think about how you remember your own life. Most of your memories are held together by language, a story. That was the summer we moved. I was scared, and then... But in those first years, you had no words. You were storing the world before you had language to store it in. So even the memories that survived have no handles, nothing to grab. They're like files written in a language you can no longer read. 3 forces all at once. A librarian not yet trained, a library being rebuilt, and no language to label anything inside it. That is why the record is gone. But here is what that erased child left behind. You don't remember learning that you were safe, but some part of you decided back then whether the world could be trusted. And you have carried that answer your whole life. You don't remember the face that meant everything, but the way you love, the way you reach for people, the way you flinch or don't. A lot of that was shaped in a room you can't recall. The memories are gone, but you are what they built. You are not a blank slate that started at your first clear memory. You are standing on 3 invisible years of being held, fed, spoken to, and shaped by someone whose face you no longer remember, doing the most important work of your life while you slept. You didn't keep the moments. You kept what they made. Somewhere, there was a night you cried and someone came. You don't remember it. You'll never remember it. But you learned something that night that you still believe today. That when it's dark and you're afraid, someone comes.